Once a famous medieval representative of science, Paracelsus noticed, those phenomena that are first attributed to mysticism become scientific knowledge after a while. Our distant ancestors explained the appearance of lightning by the wrath of the god Zeus, and today such electrical discharges are demonstrated in school lessons. Today, many scientists are convinced that the modern world could not have been formed by itself. Physicists talk about the existence of a higher mind, about the close relationship of man with the cosmos, about rays emanating from man invisible to ordinary vision. Everything in our world is subject to complex patterns that help to maintain its stability. Constants known to science are also subordinated to these patterns. Such quantities could not have appeared in the process of evolution. They were created artificially. About 40 years ago, representatives of science calculated that if you increase or decrease the gravitational, magnetic and other constants, and they are known to be accurate from 10 to 30 decimal places by only 1%, then the world will cease to be stable. The same statement applies to space. The rotation of the planets takes place in well-defined orbits. Like our world, man could not have appeared in it in the process of evolution. A few hundred years ago, the microscope was invented, and representatives of science began to study the processes occurring inside the cell. Watching the cell division, the scientists were shocked. Could such processes take place in a cell if they had not been foreseen by someone in advance? If we take into account the frequency of mutations and the rate at which biochemical processes occur in cells, it would take a much longer amount of time to create a human from cells than the age of the universe, according to modern concepts. Scientists also talk about the availability of a data bank that stores all information about the universe. It is to this repository of information that clairvoyants are connected. With the help of experiments, it is possible to determine whether the visions of such people are fantasies, hallucinations, or a manifestation of some kind of ability. People who have discovered the ability to clairvoyance can be divided into 3 groups. The first group can see some episodes from their future or the future of loved ones. The second group can receive information from entities from other worlds. And the third group is in contact with the supreme essence of our universe. Some physicists have no doubt that there is a higher being in the universe. To prove the existence of a higher entity, scientists have given quantitative calculations of the elements within the observable universe. According to them, the number of these elements should be at least 1055. For all the elements of the universe to evolve, someone has to manage it. This control takes place using signals. According to scientists, in order to move from one end of the universe to the second at the speed of light, by earthly standards it will take more than 1 billion years. Thus, it can be concluded that signals in the universe must propagate instantaneously. Otherwise, all the elements of our universe could not exist as one. This conclusion of scientists does not refute religious beliefs either. The biblical texts speak of the presence of God always and everywhere, of His omnipresence. This means that the Supreme Mind has absolute possibilities to influence everything that happens in the universe. What man calls God is a thinking matter that permeates the entire universe and has no human form. Some physicists also recognize the existence of a subtle world in which souls live. They claim that this world is not parallel to ours. With the help of physical vision, we cannot see electromagnetic waves. But this does not mean that this phenomenon occurs in a parallel world. Similarly, the subtle world is not in another dimension, but permeates our world. Also, relying on the indestructible laws of mathematics, it can be proved that our universe was conceived and created by a great mind that did its job like an experienced engineer. Dozens of examples can be given to confirm this idea. The Earth rotates around its axis at a stable speed, without accelerating or slowing down. If we slow down this speed several times, then our days and nights will be so long that during the daytime plants will die from the heat, and at night from the cold. It is known that the axis of our planet around which it rotates is tilted at an angle of 23 degrees to the vertical. Without this inclination, there will be no alternation of the seasons. In this case, the clouds that rise from the ocean would move from north to south, piling up ice on the continents. If the distance between the moon and the earth were reduced by 4 times, then the tides of the oceans would flood the entire land twice a day. These and other examples given by scientists show that life on Earth cannot be just an accident. There is a certain source in nature from which all life draws its strength. For example, there is such a force in the root of a tree that can destroy a rock. This force is also a sculptor who defines the shape of all living things, and a musician who teaches you to make an incredible amount of sounds, and a skilled chemist who gives fruits a taste and flowers a smell. Could nature, without intelligence, have created something like this? So, somewhere there must be a source of this all-pervading intelligence that has put life into all living things on Earth. It is this pervasive intelligence that has endowed animals with instincts, without which they would be helpless creatures. Salmon are born in the river, but then swim away to live in the sea, then return to their native river to spawn. What kind of force leads him with such precision to where he started his journey? There are no less mysteries in the behavior of the eel, which, having reached maturity, returns from the depths of the ocean to its origins. Man has something more than an animal instinct. He has a mind. Thanks to him, we can count, which no animal in the world can do. Let's compare instinct to a single flute sound. Of course, it will be a wonderful sound, but the human mind is able to perceive not only all the notes of this musical instrument, but also the sounds of an entire orchestra. Due to the fact that we have intelligence, we can reason about who we are. What is the meaning of our existence? But would this have been possible if we hadn't had a spark of universal intelligence embedded in us? And the presence of genes indicates that care has been shown for all living things in our world. A gene is a blueprint according to which any living organism builds itself. Isn't that proof that someone took care of us? Despite the importance of genes, their size is so small that if you collected the genes of all living people, they would fit into a thimble. Nevertheless, this smallest unit of heredity directs the life of all living things on Earth. Pay attention to the fact that in nature all the relationships are thought out, which only a perfect mind can do. The idea of God arose in man due to the ability we call imagination, and only with the help of imagination can a person comprehend the great truths of spiritual reality. For example, that the universal mind lives everywhere and in everything. This mind lives in our heart as well, and the more we feel this presence within ourselves, the stronger the need for us to observe moral principles, and the stronger our faith in God.